Hey guys, it is Dan here and our buddy Merlin, and you know what time it is.
It is time.
Time for the double Dan's Big Movie. This time doing two anniversaries.
Not as big as the last one.
Not as big as the last one. Godfather and Godfather 2.
You thought biggest.
I would say the biggest we've done, maybe the biggest double to do.
Possibly.
Maybe.
Probably? Yeah.
Unless you're going to... The only other one I could think of is if we did the Victor Fleming 39 double and we reviewed Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind.
Oh.
That's probably a bigger double than Godfather, but you could debate.
That's debatable.
You could actually debate.
That's a good one, though.
Yes. All right, but listen, this one is also special in its own way because both of these movies hold a place in the history books.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So the main anniversary for this particular month is My Big Fat Greek Wedding, 20th anniversary. And this is a film, and we'll get into it, but this is a film that you were raised on. I mean, you love this movie.
It's a family staple.
Family staple for you.
It's like Coming to America for me.
Yes, and my family was big on Coming to America as well. I had seen this one a couple of times in the past, but always good for a rewatch. And then the other one, neither of us had seen.
No, I heard of it, though.
But it's also the anniversary year for this, 25 years. Came out, I believe, in August or September, so it would be coming up.
You know, you've
in a
come
little
up with
bit.
a lot of these anniversaries by accident for both of them. The second usually it's not as lined up, but
I know.
Go with the
sometimes it just the fates work out that way.
I guess.
But the reason when I saw this one was also an anniversary, I was like, well, this has to be the double, because these are, I think, maybe still to this day, the two most successful independent comedies of all time.
Which honestly, it surprised me.
Yeah.
I did, because I knew that it had a following, but like I didn't know about Full Monty and My Big Fat Greek Wedding. I didn't realize it was that big.
Yes. So Big Fat Greek Wedding actually holds a few different distinctions. For a while, it was the highest grossing film to never reach number one.
Huh.
And then Sing came out in 2016 and I think was up against, it came out like the same weekend as one of the Star Wars movies or something.
Okay.
So it never hit number one, but it made $300 some million.
Interesting.
Big Fat Greek Wedding, made on a budget for $5 million and has earned $368 million.
It's a profit.
So the return on investment there, huge.
Definitely.
Then for Full Monty, not such a huge hit in the States, but in England, it was the number one movie of all time of anything.
Wow.
Up until Titanic came out a few months later.
So it's still pretty up there.
Still up there. And again, for return on investment, I think that movie, I probably have it here, was also made pretty much on a shoestring for $3.5 million, and it's made worldwide $258 million.
Wow.
So this is the cream of the crop for the independent comedies.
Huh.
And you mentioned now Full Monty is Fox Searchlight.
Yes.
So how independent is it? Blah blah blah.
Distribution.
But I think the reasoning here is yes, it was made on from somebody, and then Fox Searchlight bought it to distribute it.
Because that threw me off. Like, wait, that's a cheat then.
You thought it was a cheat,
Fox, you know?
but I think really we can count that.
Okay, no, I'm fine.
I think it was Sundance or one of the awards circuits or festival circuits
for a while, and maybe to some extent still like that. This really is like the number one in UK.
And in the UK, it's got to be up there for the top comedies of all time still.
But just one of the biggest movies ever.
Can you believe it? It was the number one. Now, of course, that doesn't adjust for inflation. And probably number one over there's, I don't know, Dr. Zhivago or something. But like, or one of the James Bond maybe. But yeah, for the time, it sold more in tickets than anything. And then Titanic, of course, beat it out a little bit later, but not a comedy.
Must have hit a pulse then.
Yeah, people really. When I said after the fact, after we watched it, I said maybe Billy Elliot has gotten above that at this point. I don't know, but anyway, these are two of the biggies.
Yeah,
and one which we've never seen, so should be interesting to talk about. So first, we will talk about the Greek Wedding, and this was a movie that Tom Hanks's wife Rita Wilson had, I guess, seen the stage play. Nia Vardalos, who's the star of it, and I guess she wrote it too, right? Yeah, she wrote it.
It's her thing.
Yep, written and starring. And she had done like a one-woman show of it or whatever. And then Rita Wilson had seen that and said, "Hey, my husband Tom Hanks, like, you just started your imprint," because Playtone started with That Thing You Do, which was, I think, 3 or 4 years earlier. And so they were looking for projects, and they met and said, "Hey, let's make this into a movie." And there you go.
Well, you know what? That's something to consider. If you're an independent studio, it helps if somebody has a connection with Tom Hanks.
Well, that is always
So
does always help.
Definitely a little bit of a leg up there. A little bit.
But you know what else helps? Rita Wilson is of Greek heritage.
Oh.
So it kind of spoke to her more than maybe it would have some executives or whatever.
Oh, interesting.
So when she saw it, she was like, "Oh, I really relate to this. I think maybe others will relate to it as well."
And clearly they did.
It turns out it really hit a nerve with many people. And like we were talking while we watched it, Greek and Italian really are kind of similar.
And just Mediterranean people, as we were talking about. We had seen Fiddler on the Roof recently.
That's right.
A lot of the Jewish traditions, the weddings.
Same kind of stuff.
Culturally. It just seems like there's some overlap with that, a lot of those people. So it's interesting how that comes up.
And a lot of the executives that she had first approached about it, Nia Vardalos, wanted her to change different things about it. And she stuck to her guns and said, no, I really think this is the story, that I want to tell, blah, blah, blah. Marissa Tomei at one point was being talked about for the lead, who I don't even think is Greek. I don't know. Yeah, I always thought she was Italian, but
from my cousin.
And then it's at one point they wanted to change the ethnicity to Hispanic, and she said, no, this is
Greek story.
The thing. This is a Greek story.
Greek point of view.
And so anyway, that's when Rita Wilson got involved and decided to do it up. All right. So what else can we say about this? That's it. It had a TV show afterwards that failed.
I heard about
7 episodes. And many of the cast were in tow, but not John Corbett, who was the husband. So I have to imagine that hurt a little bit with the translation.
He was like the biggest star in the movie, right?
Yeah, at the time he had done Sex and the City.
Yeah.
And probably some other things. But yeah, I mean, I would say...
I didn't really know.
I mean, other than Joey Fatone from NSYNC.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the older people, the one I love, Andrea Martin, she was on SCTV and she did a few movies. And then the mother, let me look, because they all joined for the show as well. Oh, Lainey Kazan, she's the mother. And she was on Saint Elsewhere and other shows. She was kind of known, and she was a theater person.
I'll tell you what. Who's the brother? Because the brother, I feel like I recognize as well.
Louis Mandylor.
Seen him in things.
Is the brother? Let's see what he's done that we might know.
He usually finds the thing I would have seen him in, whatever it is.
Yeah, I usually know your style. Relic Hunter. I think I saw
Jane Austen's Mafia up there.
No, was it?
Yep.
Oh, there it is. Well, that's how you know. That's one of your favorite movies is Jane Austen's Mafia.
Well, in a way.
He was in an episode of Charmed. He was in an episode of Friends. So he's been around. But yeah, I wouldn't call him anybody famous.
He's the Jane Austen's Mafia.
He did play CSI Miami for 5 years. You liked some of those shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could say he's
the
been
Who.
around.
Yeah. Come on now.
You love it.
I do. I love when they do that's the only good thing about CSI is when they do the bits.
One of the best parts.
All right, so briefly, I think most people kind of know what the story is, but briefly,
did you know what's
they're
sad?
working on a wedding.
I think I forgot about the character. Is it Nia Vardalos? Is that her name?
Nia Vardalos is the real person.
But what's
Tula?
What's the Tula? Portocalos.
Yep.
Tula. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty much it.
Everyone knows. We're preparing for the wedding.
You got preparing for the wedding. You've got this lady.
Dad doesn't like it.
She's basically her whole life is pretty much this Greek family. Very proud of their Greek traditions, but she's kind of stuck in that because all she's expected to do is just hang out until she marries somebody and has some kids. But she hasn't really had a lot of luck with that, and she wants to do other things with her life and kind of get into business and pursue other things.
Travel agent,
what she wants to do with her aunt's agency.
Yep.
And the dad's just been resistant, but she finds this guy she falls in love with, this great guy who's really interested in her, but he's not Greek at all.
Nope.
So it's like, how do we get him into the
family?
And
it's a chance meeting. First, she waits on him at the bar.
Yeah.
At the restaurant. And then he sees her in the travel agency window and is like, oh, I kind of like that girl from The Waitress.
Yeah.
So
it's really just a matter of kind of getting him into the family and just kind of the tribulations of really building up that wedding while overcoming the dad's resistance and him eventually coming around and I guess having a resolution. But really, and we commented about it, the movie, I guess there are some similarities with Full Monty in a bit, but it's a movie where the conflict isn't so much like this big battle between two people or this...
there's not really a villain in the film.
The obstacle to overcome is a relatable thing, which is, the family dynamics and the awkwardness, the coming of cultures together thematically. But really, it's just planning a wedding that doesn't go super smoothly, but there aren't like
and the
hijinks.
trials that come with that.
And not to use an example, but like Bridesmaids, there's more outrageous things that happen.
Yes.
This is like a believable standard like thing. Like she gets a zit, you know.
Right.
Like that's the big it resolved pretty.
I mean,
quickly.
the biggest thing really is the father is not
Resistant.
interested in the relationship because he's not Greek.
Yes, and that's the plot of the movie.
And his parents are horrendously boring.
They were your least
For
favorites.
well, they stink, and they're written
uptight.
that way, you know.
They're not
to
culturally
be just
interesting
the
at all.
most bland milk toast boros that we've seen.
Caucasian,
the
I
whitest
believe,
people.
Wasp is probably
Wasp
the term.
would sure fit with them. So I mean, but those are really right the obstacles. There's not really a villain per se.
It's a personal struggle, which I was thinking there aren't
Yeah.
too many movies that do that, and it was kind of refreshing to think, that it's just a very believable thing of trying to bring in a groom that some of the family might not like, and still having a wedding and planning it and trying to make everyone happy. It just I don't know. It's nice how fluid it was and simple in a way.
Yeah, it really is, and it hit obviously many nerves with people because they kept going to see it and see it and see it. Our buddy Tim, who frequents the channel, he was one of our managers at the movie theater, and he was working there when this was out, and this was when they only had film, so you couldn't just this movie sold out, we're just going to put it on 3 different projectors because it's on digital. No, on film you had to have a copy of the movie, and he told this story where it was like, and he'll correct me I'm sure in the comments, but where it was like it sold out. They had one show, the last like 4 months they had one show a day, and it still would like sell out at like 11 a.m. Whatever. People kept seeing this movie and being drawn to this movie, and this was in an age of tons of romantic comedies. The late 90s to early 2000s were like all the Reese Witherspoons, the McConaughey's, the Kate Hudson, Drew Barrymore had a lot.
Yeah.
Roberts was still doing them.
I think Sandler still had some.
Sandler was doing a couple with Drew Barrymore. But one of the things I pointed out when we were watching it
The 9/11
is
thing?
the timing of this movie.
Yeah.
This came out, if it's April of 2002, we're talking about 8 months after 9/11. And a lot of big movies were shuffled because they were like, we don't want to, but this movie is, like you said, there's no villain here.
No.
It's slice of life. It's funny.
It's also honestly,
and it's relatable.
And
I think people wanted to get away from sort of the horrors of the day.
And I really liked that point you brought up because and I didn't realize it was quite that early it came out. I thought it was a few years later, but that makes a lot of sense because really just the genuine tone of the movie, for the lack of a better word, it's just very sweet. It's nice. It's wholesome.
Light.
It's light. But there's still substance, but it's just such a nice movie.
Yeah.
It's almost like a security blanket, a nice warm
Well,
hug.
and it is, absolutely is. And one of the things I think that also works for it is in most rom-coms, especially at that time, there's a big like part where we have to break up. F you, we're this and that, and then they end up getting back together. It's like they don't do that here.
No,
the fight,
understanding, they talk to each other. You're right. The fight's more between the family, and he has.
They love each other the whole time.
She says some line about
kind of
like,
new.
Why would you want to deal with this? Am I worth it? Sort of thing. And he's like, he keeps going with it. So
yeah.
And I also like that about the lead because I didn't realize he'd done other things. I mostly know him from this, but I don't know if he typically plays that part. But he's just a really nice person.
Yeah, I it's been a long time since I watched the first few seasons of Sex and the City, but I remember that he kind of was like the good guy, but Carrie wanted the Chris Noth character because
someone more daring,
somebody a little more adventurous,
dangerous,
suave,
mysterious.
Whatever, and girls like that apparently don't go for the nice guys. But yes, John Corbett he's a likable dude.
He's just so, and it's just so interesting to see. Just that romance based around just two nice people that like each other because they're nice, and it was just really refreshing to see that. And like you said, in most of these sort of things, you'd have that misunderstanding, that big fight, and that those are so tired.
Every movie I can think of from that era that's a rom-com, something like that happens.
But this, it's like there's some bumps, but for the most part, these people want to make it work, and they stick together. And that's just so unique.
Yes,
I like that.
It really, really is. It actually reminds me of one of my favorite TV shows of that era too, which is Raymond.
Oh yeah,
Raymond. There weren't a ton of like big, big crazy, arguments. It was family stuff. The family lived right across the street. Yeah. So they came and they're Italian family. So again, like we said, sort of similar. But yeah, I think there's an inherent sweetness to this movie. And the other thing is, because there's no real villains, everybody in their own way is likable. I guess except for his parents. But they're just duds. They're just kind of a, blank nothing.
They're sort of awkward. Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, even the dad who's like fighting, you sympathize with him.
Yeah, his perspective.
Yes.
He doesn't want to lose his daughter, and he cares so much about his culture. Much like Fiddler, again, like you stick so to the traditions, that's what you have to keep you together. Getting away from that's scary.
Right, right. And for generations they did that. Now we're stepping out.
Of course, classic Windex. I mean, as the trope there.
Yeah, I mean, I think...
Put some Windex.
Yeah, let's talk about the humor of the movie.
It's good.
Because there is some. Some of it is, I think, light in nature.
Broad?
Yeah, there's definitely some pratfalls and some physical stuff
like
that you can
I
say.
think you like the part with the phone line.
I loved that part.
That was a good pratfall.
But yeah, like Windex is a classic sort of go-to recurring joke in the movie.
I think some of the brothers
being sort of like the macho tough guy.
He threatens them. There's some vague organized crime elements like, oh, they didn't drop off the trucks.
That's
again.
why you love it.
Hey, don't mess with my sister. I'm gonna kill you. I'm just kidding.
But really,
Dre Patone's like, hey, we're gonna kill you. And the language thing, like, oh, say this to greet everybody, and it's actually like something kind of dirty.
Yeah, it's like nice boobs or something.
Nice, but you have great boobs or something. Like,
yeah,
that's funny, but not fairly PG. Right?
Yeah, and I think this was a PG film, as opposed to Full Monty, which is rated R for reasons we'll get into. But, this is a very family friendly. Old people can love it. Everybody.
And there's a little bit of like some of the weird surreal humor once in a while too. Like I think the bunt thing is a good cultural understanding issue. But
what's a bunt?
What's a bunt? Oh, it's a cake. We fixed it. They put a plant there. It's pretty good because they don't get it.
Yeah.
But I love the aunt who she sits down with the parents then. Because our family now tells her the story about like the lump that's the twin with the spinal cord.
Oh my god,
that is so bizarre, but it's great. It's like what? And they're like, "What do you want? Some food?" No.
And I think that speaks to
it's all over
another reason though that this did sort of strike such a chord is that it is so relatable.
Oh yeah,
everybody knows the oversharing relative, or the person who doesn't understand the cultural norms or whatever.
There's that issue. There's also, I think, another thing is, I think if you're in a big family, whether it's like really ethnic or not, being in a family, big get-togethers with those different types of people is common. But also being an outsider, feeling awkward, having parents that seem a bit uptight.
Right.
That's probably relatable for a lot of people too.
Yeah.
So I can see both sides of it.
Yeah, and they do sort of give us his perspective on it as well, as sort of the outsider, not just, okay, this is about Tula and her family.
I love how embarrassed she is about it. Like, he's like, what's the problem? Why are you so worried about the future? Like, oh, we're my family. We're so Greek. He's like, okay, who cares?
Yeah, he didn't quite get it.
He's like, whatever.
And then he did.
And then he did.
And he loved it.
And he's fine with it. Like, this is cool. Like, your family's more interesting than mine. Like,
I have to imagine him not being in the TV show hurt it and replacing him with someone else.
Yeah. That doesn't sound good.
I remember watching the first episode. I was like, this is not that good.
Do you like Roddy and Harry? That's a good gag. With
yes.
Welcome, Roddy and Harry.
Yes, I do like that.
I'm trying to think of other gags. Oh, the brother and sister that don't like each other. Like
the competitive. Yeah.
Somebody sit on your hair.
Yes, a lot of the family stuff is anybody that has siblings can definitely relate, or cousins you're close to can definitely relate to it.
Yeah.
All right. So, are there any negatives? I mean, I don't really have any. I think
it's almost over before it really has a chance to build. Like, it almost feels too. But once again, like maybe another movie, it's like, wow, you want more. Leaving yourself wanting more has never been a bad thing.
To
say about a movie.
Although I will echo something you actually said about Hanks's own That Thing You Do, which is in my top 5. But Hanks wrote and directed that. You said that it was, seemed a little too safe. I think maybe if there's a complaint about this movie, it could be potentially that it does, walk a safe line.
Real risks anymore.
But you know what? I find that actually kind of refreshing.
I don't think I love a movie or any kind of story that is trying to push an element or get you to think or try something. I love that stuff. But I don't think every movie has to be really good to do that.
I agree.
Sometimes if you have a formula that works, plus I can't think of too many movies. No, and this movie is unique because
yes,
I think
very
doing it its own way. My Big Fat Greek Wedding is a very unique comedy. There's no other one like it.
And what's so funny is, time and time again, we see this where someone sticking to their guns and saying no to a producer or to a studio almost always works out better. Look at Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds fought so hard for his own vision of Deadpool. Every studio was like, oh, I don't know about this, and then it was amazing and everyone loved it. Same thing with this. They tried to tweak it and change it and she said no. I think one singular vision can really help.
Well, that's an old school, philosophy, the auteur filmmaker. One person has their vision, try to keep it all together. You've got your Michael Bays and your Tommy Wiseau. So, you've got your auteurs. So I don't know if it always works out the same way, but it is refreshing to see one person's vision come up there. If they've got a good idea of what that is, for that to come onto the screen. I wish we had more of that.
Something that we really rarely see, especially in this age
with
of
everything
the blockbusters.
Filtered to a focus group.
Right.
You're right. This type of indie film, they wouldn't put this out in a big theater release anymore.
This would be literally a Netflix, Paramount Plus exclusive or something.
Like Hulu movie of the week. Yeah.
All right. So I guess before we go to the rotten and stuff, let's give our grades. For me, this is an A.
I was gonna A+, but you're right. I guess it's a little safe.
I think probably A.
Yeah, A sounds fine. I'll agree with you.
What was it about it though for you and your family? Because you said you this was a staple for you guys.
I don't even know why my mom came across it. Maybe my grandparents mentioned or something. It seems like something they would like.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
see, there it is. It spans the ages and the generations.
I think no matter what age you are, there's something about it. We love the family stuff. We love the humor. I think we loved the dad. I mean, it was just something you could throw on to make you feel good. And much like a Coming to America, we just always got a laugh out of it.
Yeah.
I feel like we got out of watching
quotable lines.
We love movies with quotable lines. I don't think we watched it quite as much in recent years, as much as Coming to America.
Yeah.
But this one was one that just
it was a go-to.
We enjoyed it. So,
yeah.
All
right. Well, let's see if other people enjoyed it.
I think we know they did.
Actually, this is a lot lower than I thought. 76% on critics and 73 for audience. That actually is a little bit lower than I thought. Let's see. Do people think it is too safe here?
So according to Rotten, it's more like a B+ or something.
Yeah, let's look at a couple of the Rottens here. There's 31 Rottens out of 129 total. All right, so let's see. It offers the illusion of originality with Greek stereotypes, but really clings to the formulaic romance comedy. I think we've proven a couple of times that that's not true.
No.
They don't break up.
No.
There's not a big scene.
No.
Even their meeting is just
pretty normal.
All right, let's see. Funny and familiar. A lot of the situations. Well, that's a 70 out of 100. I don't think that's rotten necessarily. Here's a D-.
Okay. Hey.
Nia Vardalos will jump out of your movie screen or television and club you over the head with Windex until you give in to her aggressively overbearing humor. I don't find that to be the case either.
I think he was in a bad
I think she was very sweet, actually.
Yeah, that's very nice. That's what I'm saying. It's very nice.
Very nice. On the whole, this movie didn't make me laugh much, didn't give me any more insight into its popularity. All right, so these people just want to have issues.
I don't know if
one joke, stereotypes, and situations. I don't think that's true.
No,
I actually, and the reason which we talked about.
Yeah, no, it's very.
I think you could, but
anybody could kind of.
You could relate this to Italians. It could have been a Hispanic movie, like the studios wanted. It still would have worked.
It still would have worked.
So I wouldn't say that's stereotype. Here's a weird review. While I found the film of average entertainment, my friend loved it. All right.
What kind of review is that?
It's a weird review. Folks will come away mistaking a warmth for their own experiences with an overabundance of affection for the movie.
There's a lot of rotten here.
And they're weird. These are weirdly...
These aren't very well defined.
No, nobody's...
They're not clear.
Other than the one guy that said it wasn't funny.
Which is a very subjective thing to say.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the humor might not work for some
predictable jokes. I didn't find that to be the truth.
There's some good surprises.
Many stereotypes that one is tempted to alert the Greek Anti-Defamation League. Look, unless that's a Greek reviewer, it was written.
Well, Lauren King.
I don't think so. This was written by Greeks. It
was written by
with
Greek
an all
people.
Greek cast. So I don't know.
I don't think they were that mad.
All right. Anyway, I can't look at that anymore. I'm too annoyed.
Over it.
But I'm surprised it has that many detractors. But whenever something is that popular, it always
There's going to be we got to look.
There's always going to be people that have problems.
I think it's perfect.
Let's just look at a couple of the positives here to cleanse our palates. My goodness. Here you go. This is the kind of romantic comedy you wish you saw more often. Yeah. That's a good one. Endearing eccentricities. Blah blah blah. Help humanize the characters. All right, perfect sleepover movie for tweens and moms. All right.
Well,
great.
yeah. See, everybody.
Sounds good. Now, what did the great Roger Ebert say?
He had to have liked it, right?
I'm gonna say
middling.
No, higher. I say
three.
3 to 3.5.
Ooh, 3.5.
Let's say.
I'm gonna stick with the 3.
Okay. Let's see
what
here.
If he hates it? See, I never know.
I never know. Oh, we should say the sequel was bad.
Oh yeah,
the sequel was awful.
I thought it was okay.
Oh, 3 on the nose for Ebert. Yeah, we should just mention that quickly. And I read that they're prepping some sort of 3, but I don't know much about that. All right, he always talks about the plot for half of it. So let's see. Movie's pretty straightforward. Blah blah blah.
Short review.
Very short review actually. Okay.
Towards the bottom.
Movie's warm-hearted in the way a movie can be when it knows people inside out.
Knows people.
This is true. Blah, blah, blah. There's an Italian wedding movie he was relating it to.
Uh-huh.
Everyone, here you go. The first line. Everyone in this movie looks like they could be a real person. You know, we didn't talk about that either. Nia Vardalos is not your classic beauty. Hollywood beauty.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that might have worked for it, too.
That's true.
We all love Julia Roberts, but, like,
she's
not all of us can see her in ourselves.
No, and that's a good point. I think having
that's one I didn't think of, Ebert.
A star of a movie that's very relatable, believable. Yeah, and she looks like just, a more average person, and they prettied her up, of course, a little bit, but like, but she's not in these typical rom-coms where it's supposed to be relatable and you've got a supermodel as the main everyday person. That's not relatable.
I think the closest maybe we get is to like Reese Witherspoon. She's pretty like down home beauty.
She's more
Sweet
of
Home Alabama.
Yeah, but even, I think even she's like maybe I don't know.
She's obviously prettier than most people on earth.
But still, it's nice to see that.
Him too.
He's not your
your Hugh Grant or your Richard Gere.
That's a good point. These are more kind of, I don't want to say average, but just they're not
your usual starlets.
They're not your starlets you'd see on the magazine heartthrob of the month.
Which sadly could explain why her career after this didn't really do much, unfortunately.
She got almost pigeonholed and typecast.
Yeah.
But you know what? She made an impact, and I think that's enough.
Yes, and listen, she produced that movie, so she made money. Hand over fist.
Oh yeah, so she's probably
through that. So I'm sure she's fine.
Don't be like Nick Cage and buy a bunch of pyramids.
That's right. But thank you, Ebert, for because I didn't think of that. They look like real people too,
and that's nice.
Yeah.
Talk about
all right. So Full Monty is next, and this one is like we said, the biggest of the British movies,
the United Kingdom.
And I don't know how it did really in the States.
I know they advertised it.
They advertised it. I know it did okay. Oh, I should point out for Big Fat Greek Wedding though, she was nominated for Best Screenplay.
Oh,
because I see some awards love here for Full Monty. It looks like no Academy Awards, but it got nominated for some Globes. Or no, that's Jim Carrey. What am I looking at?
You like a Golden Globe?
I do like a Golden Globe actually, but I don't know if I'm right that.
But aren't they the comedy or musical people?
in stupid that's Golden Globes they have comedy or musical, which this actually might be considered both. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess a musical.
There's definitely music in it, but. Here you go. Let's see. Production. All right. So this was nominated for Academy Awards. It was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director. And who directed Full Monty? It was Peter Cantanello.
Who dat?
Don't know him.
Who dat?
But he got nominated.
Good for him.
Best Original Screenplay and Best Musical or Comedy Score, which it did win.
And to play in 2013.
And then, yes, it was adapted into a famous musical and then just a regular play after that.
Wow, what an influence.
Huge hit. And here you go. Despite being a comedy, and this will speak to what you're going to say.
Oh, yes.
This is the first line of the wiki.
I love this. Thank you, wiki.
Okay. Now, Joe, we'll get into it. Joe's biggest problem with the movie.
Or is it a problem?
Well, I don't think it is that it wasn't a comedy. Which I said, look, it is. It is fun. It had funny moments, and you know it.
But you said, look, let's just be honest. It's not really a comedy.
Sometimes it ain't a comedy. But
that's fine.
What I said about was British. When I think about some of my favorite British comedies, because we know About a Boy, which we reviewed very early on, the first movie we ever did on Film Fanatics for the Oscars.
A somber
has some, the whole manic depression issues, the whole kid getting bullied. I think in England, they don't have, and this is why Hugh Grant and people like that are so successful.
Anything.
They don't have a lot though of the Horrible Bosses, Hall Pass, The Hangover, just over the top comedies. They don't tend to go for that.
No, there's a bite to everything.
Yeah. And so all right, so the very first thing of Wiki says, despite being a comedy, The film also touches on serious subjects such as unemployment, fathers' rights, depression, impotence, homosexuality, body image, working class culture, and suicide. No, I would say that was actually a funny scene, though, with the suicide.
It actually kind of was.
It really was. So here's the thing. Much like Big Fat Greek Wedding,
yes,
we were talking about no villains.
Yeah.
You know, and here I would say the villain is society, the
big business,
the culture of big business.
Economics,
no one person in this movie is really the villain, except maybe the boss, but like even him.
It's just cultural struggles. I think another, and they mentioned it briefly, but body image issues and ideas about masculinity.
Yep.
Like there's a lot
dancing, stripping,
and how
usually is thought of with women,
and as a means to kind of take pride. There's a lot going on in this movie.
Yes,
there's
and
a lot
listen,
going on.
I will. Well, I don't want to spoil my grade, but look, you and I had never seen it.
No.
So we didn't quite know what to expect. I didn't know it was so serious.
I thought it was going to be a raunchy...
I thought it was a little
goofy,
bit more in the Magic Mike vein.
Yeah.
Not that that's a comedy either.
Another
but
bad
I thought...
example.
I thought that would be...
But think about how Magic Mike was advertised. I remember trailers of the full Monty. You just see a couple clips and then them just dancing.
And comedy.
Like I thought that was going to be a whole movie.
I thought that's what it was,
they're half
too.
naked and that's the joke.
But no, it really touches on a lot of serious issues that are still... 25 years on are still problems, certainly with things like low wages, bad business tactics.
Oh,
certainly issues of body image and suicide and depression and all of that kind of stuff.
And I mean, I didn't know what to expect, but I liked how the opening of the movie was just these old Super 8 footage of this town. It was prosperous. And it looks like almost like Coney Island, I guess, wherever it is in the UK. And like, oh yeah, this is how it was. This is how it is now. And so there's a bit of a message, and these are these people struggling to find work, and tonally, it's a very interesting movie.
It is, I think it is a comedy by default, because I think any movie that I think I gave a ratio when we watched it. Anything that's, I would say, more than like 25 to 30% humorous, I think you would consider a comedy, because it would be hard to say. Like Titanic had a couple of jokes, but you would never call it a comedy.
Because it only had 5%. See, all right. Well, here's the thing, and maybe this just because maybe I am used to, the Super Bad and the Hangover.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking if
the classic American R-rated comedy, because this is R-rated.
15 years of comedies or 20 years of comedies, it's like the main focus is a joke, and you want to expect humor. You need more laughs per minute than the next movie. The last movie, the South Park method or whatever.
Yes.
And I have come to expect that, and I do think. Back in the day, it was less likely to be so. But then again, I think about some of our favorites. My favorites, like the Coming to America or Twins. Like these are movies that were pretty funny, but they weren't 100% funny throughout.
No, like Coming to America, certainly the last 20 minutes is quite serious.
There's the romance, is quite
and
serious.
Then Twins turns into a gangster
thriller
at the end,
which is great.
And we may see some of that next month with Sister Act too.
Yes, but I would say for Coming to America, Twins, Sister Act,
more laughs than
anything. I think it's more laughs than those other things.
Kindergarten Cop's another good example. That turns into a curse thriller for the last half.
It's just
almost
like it's so funny.
But what do people remember about Kindergarten Cop? It's not a tumor. Boys have penises. Girls have vaginas.
Shut up.
Yeah,
but it's dark.
But it's actually very dark. And these are some of your favorites.
And yours. You like Kindergarten
Cop. And
mine.
Well, I don't have a problem with this as much as you do with the tone.
But I'm just, as a comedy guy, I'm like, your 30% rule.
Yeah.
I don't know. You said Groundhog Day was another one.
Yeah, I think Groundhog Day is a great example, because to me, Groundhog Day is a excellent movie. It's an A+ for me for sure. It's in my top 50.
Yeah.
However, it's billed as a comedy.
Yeah.
And I get that, but it's much, much more than that.
Yeah.
It deals with crisis of life issues.
That's another movie.
Certainly it's a romance as well, but I mean, it's
philosophy,
it's got a lot of
sci-fi.
things going on.
Yeah, it's another great movie with a lot going on.
It's basically It's a Wonderful Life with a few extra jokes.
Yes. But we talk about great movies that are dynamic and do a lot of things, and we say, okay, you can't put a label on it.
Right.
But do you think you could easily slap a label on a comedy which is 30%, or is that kind of doing it an injustice? Because I think the Full Monty might be, not to spoil my grade, might be more in that camp than just kind of brushing this out as just a comedy.
We've talked about this frequently in our lives. I think the best movies are many different things.
I like that point.
And we used Oz as the example when we were watching it.
Or Back to the Future.
Or Back to the Future. Because, you know, those movies are many, many things. They're fantasy, science fiction. There's some comedy for sure. Adventure, family.
Drama.
I mean, those movies have everything, and that's why they're my top 2 of all time.
Yeah, but if you had to put it in... If you had to put it in a...
And when I worked at Hollywood Video, thank you for these shelves, they had things in the comedy section that I necessarily might have given them a different award.
Okay.
Edward Scissorhands being in comedy didn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, that's weird.
That, to me, drama.
Yeah. Or fantasy.
Or fantasy. Something like this, though, certainly in that comedy camp. I think there's a lot of jokes in this movie.
I mean, I'm fine with it being comedy.
You know?
It's just...
But Truman Show's another one.
Ooh.
Truman Show definitely has some jokes. And it was Jim Carrey's first foray into something less comedic.
You could put that in drama, and I think people wouldn't fight you.
And I think in Hollywood Video, it was in drama.
It's kind of a serious movie, too.
It's very serious, but a lot of jokes.
So what... I don't know if anyone's ever discussed the ratio of jokes to be considered.
Yeah, I just sort of threw out the 30%, but
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's the quality of the. I don't know.
Well, and I think comedy also, of course, is subjective.
Yeah,
but you've also got you call things romantic comedies, and something like, you know, Big Fat Greek Wedding is a little funnier than others. But when I think of like You've Got Mail or something, it's more cutesy.
And I think of
is
that
it
as
funny. I don't know.
It's a romance.
Yeah, it's a romance.
Oh, you know what?
But it's not like a romantic drama.
Not to go off on a tangent.
This is the tangent.
This is a tangent. This is so bad. But we're getting back to it. Sleepless in Seattle.
Okay.
Is that billed as a comedy or as a romance?
It is billed as a rom-com, I think.
And this is subjective.
People like to put romance movies in either comedy or drama.
I don't like that.
So, like, if it's something like...
Called a romance.
The Nicholas Sparks stuff, it's a drama.
I didn't find it funny. I also don't think it's that good of a movie. I really didn't like it.
I never saw Sleepless in Seattle.
But I'm just like, that's not...
But Rosie's in it, and she was a comedian, so they said, well, let's say it's funny.
And I think Bill Pullman, you're a big fan of him, too.
My favorite. But yeah, so to me... maybe there's a ratio. I don't know, but let's
keep it back.
Let's talk about the plot of this movie. We've gone 10 minutes now.
All right,
but we know about the workers stuff.
Yes, basically, it's what I thought. It's almost like I forget the town, but it's like the British.
Yeah, I forget what it is. Yeah, it's sort of like New York,
equivalent of like Pittsburgh, almost.
Yeah, it's like a steel town,
where it's like Detroit or something, where
Sheffield.
Sheffield.
Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah,
Sheffield. Okay, so the big booming town. It's down on its luck now. All these people out of work, and so it's this guy struggling to find and make a living. He's got this young kid. He's had a divorce.
I loved that kid. He was so great.
Finding ways to try and prove that he's a good dad and keep his son in his life, because his mom's kind of like, you're really up to no good. You're not responsible. Look at you. Yeah. And he's got other friends that they're trying to find work. And but there are these people coming in doing shows, like live performances of strippers coming to this club, which is, even though people are sort of down out of luck, all these women are flocking there and realize, hey, we don't really have many other options finding jobs. Maybe this is a way we could make some decent money in a short time. Let me find some other people who might be willing to dance. And they kind of look around and they find people who may have something to offer. Maybe one guy who's well endowed, one guy who kind of can dance some oldies.
The older guy.
One guy who kind of knows a little bit of like dancing with his wife, and he knows choreography, so he can direct them. The son becomes like the DJ and kind of keeping track of things. And they're going to this warehouse and practicing, and they get caught by the police at one point. And it's really just this constant buildup. The one guy is somebody else they used to work with who was going to kill himself, and said, hey, just join us.
That hilarious
and we'll keep you.
Which actually was funny. It was serious subject.
It was a serious subject. They pulled it off to be kind of funny.
Yeah.
But basically, this ragtag crew, they come together, and the whole movie is just kind of a buildup of, are they actually able to do this? Oh yeah, that's right. The one guy who's the still standing Game of Thrones guy.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Mark Addy.
This is one issue. This is why it won't be an A+. Okay,
his
look.
fat.
The body.
My fat body.
The body image issue.
He's the most average body. He's a little chubby, I guess.
That subplot was very good, because the guy, he also wants to make money, but he's really insecure about, even when he's doing this and thinking about these other people and the other guys with, even if his wife would really want to be with him. And is he really a man? Because he's out of work and he's thinking, do I look good? And he's not quite as skinny as the other guys, but he's like average. I think he might even be smaller than me.
Yeah, I think we're both probably chunkier than him.
I think I have a bigger belly than this guy, and he was like, oh man, I'm so fat.
But you know what that shows? Body image can happen to anybody.
Yes.
and
it's
maybe
not
it
just
is
a teenage girl.
Yeah, maybe right. A grown man could feel that too.
And
so realistically, even though we were kind of saying like, okay, you're not that chubby,
but that's a legit thing.
But in his mind,
and you know what?
and
I
maybe it doesn't matter.
And I love that. This movie.
So I actually really like that part of it.
Touched on that insecurity about that and about ideas of masculinity, and these guys are wondering if they can really do it. And they're how they kind of come together, and they actually are slowly forming a unit, and there is something there. But there is that buildup of like, are we actually going to get to that dance? Because they actually do.
Well, there's legal issues involved too.
They get sent to prison because they are basically going out there, trespassing on property. They are doing something quasi illegal,
and having his kid with them,
the minor there.
So
which,
that's
of course,
an issue.
The mom didn't like.
Right.
So you're wondering there. Some of them think, okay, this isn't worth it. We're getting in trouble. Are they going to come together to do it?
Right.
So it is wondering, is the whole team going to come together to do it? And spoilers, they do eventually.
Well, we don't know,
but
we do.
But I liked that. It was a complete. It was completely the otherwise what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
It sort of subverted my expectations because I was thinking it was going to be more like Magic Mike, where we see them have kind of a streak and maybe they have a...
Yeah, and Magic Mike, they're already strippers.
Like Magic Mike with the creative differences, and maybe there's a betrayal. I thought it was going to be more like a lighter version of that. No, it's the drama and some comedy.
Yeah.
Darker comedy and really just
some lighter comedy too. There obviously some physical comedy.
Some physical comedy
with the dancing,
musical stuff.
Yeah.
There's some there's a good combination of different things. I think it's well written, but I think it's just very human and relatable.
Yeah, this is and you had mentioned that Big Fat Greek Wedding does actually dovetail nicely with this, and I think that's another reason. I think the characters are incredibly relatable.
Yes,
in both films.
I will say that you talked about how Greek Wedding might be too safe. I think Full Monty takes risks and tries a lot of things, and it definitely has a lot more edge to it, though. And certainly some darker elements of the humor, whereas Greek Wedding's pretty nice and accessible.
But again, like we mentioned, no villains though.
It's just
the villain is society
and life problems, and cultural issues, and
that makes it
problems
more relatable.
And that's great. I was like, wow.
And I like that all of these guys, like you mentioned, all their different backgrounds, they all have different sort of issues, and yet
they come
each
together.
issue is relatable.
Yes.
Like I could relate to probably 4 different guys in this set.
No, I loved it. It's you got one guy, he's got the body image, masculinity issue. The one guy turns out is maybe gay and doesn't know much about it.
Right.
Other guy's really depressed and trying to kill himself. Another guy's got the issue with his son. He's out of work.
One guy feels like he's past his prime.
He's too old, and they're like, why would we want to hire him? He's too old. Like, so there's something for everybody.
Yes. Yeah, there really is.
Oh, the boss is like, is this beneath me? He's afraid his wife's going to find out.
Right. Oh, that's right. Yeah, what's his face? We love him.
He's the biggest. Is it Wilkinson?
He was the biggest star. Tom Wilkinson.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny. This is the youngest we've seen him, but he's still 60.
He still looks the same as he did like 30 years ago.
I know. God bless him. Yeah, and then Robert Carlyle is the main guy that has the kid.
Was he in Once Upon a Time? Is he Rumpelstiltskin?
Oh, that's right. You did want me to see.
Because I recognize. Where have I seen him?
I forgot. I've seen him in he's in Train Spotting. Did you ever see that? I actually haven't.
Long time ago.
He's in that.
I liked him, but I
movies I've definitely heard of, but that I haven't seen. I saw 28 Weeks Later. I don't know who he plays in that. He played John Lennon in the Beatles movie Yesterday, which was great. I don't think you saw that, but
no,
that was a good one. Some TV roles. Once Upon a Time. Let's see if that's one of them.
Is he Rumpelstiltskin?
Yes, he was Rumpelstiltskin.
I know that guy's face.
Oh yeah, he was in 138 episodes.
Yeah, I think that's his big.
So that must be his big thing now. And he's currently on a show called Cobra.
And he was in War of the Worlds.
So he gets around.
Yeah,
he was in the new 24 that they did.
And much like Tula, very relatable. Not exactly the most dashing lead to be a male stripper, but and they even touted that like. So when they're talking to the women, why would we come see you? Well, we're normal guys you run into, willing to bear on. They're like, oh, you know what? That is intriguing.
Well, and that's the thing. Right, again, none of these guys are dashing, what you would say, what you would say is chiseled top models, top models.
Most handsome expectations,
So look, I love this movie.
It was great.
This, for me, is one of the best surprises that we've had on Dan's Big Movie.
Good movie.
This was a great double. In my opinion.
Is it the best double yet in terms of matching?
Well...
That isn't like the sequel or
because
something.
I think... in terms of matching itself.
Yeah, instead of
probably.
Just like, okay.
I mean, that's not a direct sequel.
Yeah, that's a cheat.
I mean, probably. The themes of these movies which, you know, we didn't know much about the Full Monty. I only picked it because it was also a high
We just
grossing
thought it was
movie.
like Magic Mike.
And it was the anniversary, so I was like, this might pair well. But no, and thematically, similar in tone, a lot of the same things. This one obviously a little darker, but
a little bit.
But also, I think the humor in this, like we said, is a little more. When it is funny, I think it's more, like drop dead hilarious.
It is, because you're not expecting
than
it.
Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yeah, that's true.
And maybe that is because of the tonal shifts a little bit.
Maybe, like it's almost welcome. Like, that is pretty funny.
But I do think that's the British way.
Yes.
Like, you know, mining humor from
the darkest,
dark stuff.
Yeah.
That's how they get by. But for me, A+.
All right. Well, I can't really dispute it, though. I will say you're right. It almost could be too short.
It's
wanted
definitely a little too short. 91 minutes. They could have fleshed it out.
I wanted more, though, and that's not a bad thing.
You always say this is a good thing.
No, I think it's a great movie.
My guess would be this is higher on Rotten. Now, if I didn't know what Big Fat Greeks was, but there's no way this is under 76%.
I'm surprised about Greek, but
and then,
this has to be higher.
I think it's probably going to be higher on Ebert, too. Let's see.
All right.
So we've got the the Rotten's 96. Very high. 79. Well, that's only 50 reviews,
for the critics.
But similar
audience,
with the audience, 79%. I think Greek was 73. Let's see. There's 2 out of the 50 reviews were rotten. This is so old, though, they might not have the actual blurbs up. Sometimes if it's an older review, they won't.
A star or something.
All right. Well, I clicked on the wrong thing, I guess.
Well,
all right. Well, anyway, 96% to me seems correct for this movie. Yeah. I can see.
Pretty beloved by them.
Even the Full Monty as promised was not delivered. Oh, here's this guy. I hate this guy. Dennis Schwartz. He can kiss it because I think he's like the one negative review on Paddington 2. Like
Dan's Vendetta.
Really every time there's like a 98, 99%. He's gotta
be the guy.
He's the negative. He's such a jerk.
He's a bit curmudgeon.
So Dennis Schwartz. F off if you're watching. I hate you. You stink. All right, but let's go to the Ebert now. Okay. Come on. Remember Paddington 2 was like number 1 for a while. Talk about Hugh Grant.
I feel like it's hard to dislike Paddington. It's fine. Like,
he's one of the classics. All right, so Roger Ebert. Let's see, Full Monty. I'm going to say 4.5. I mean 4.5, 3.5.
Do you think it's great movies material though?
Well, he only did what? Things that were 4. Yeah, I think there was only 200 total. All right, let's see here. This is direct from 1997 from Roger Ebert. 3 again.
Same with Greek.
All right, well, look. Similar. At least he knows.
He knows what it's about.
He knows that this is as good as Greek. All right, let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Grim working conditions. Can he teach them to dance? Yes, okay.
Plot.
It's all plot.
Because before internet, you had to read the newspaper.
I guess that is true. You have to go on the plot. But tell us what you liked about it here. This is all just the things. All right, where there are no jobs. This is the worst part of the Dan's Big movie because I have to scroll through the stupid...
Don't research it.
All right, here you go. Might seem like a strange choice,
I guess,
but blah blah blah.
More than invented face of unemployment.
Yeah, it's about ordinary blokes insisting their women regard them as men, job or no job. If they're reduced to stripping to pay the bills, a lot of women know all about that. All right, now come on, Ebert.
Wow.
All right, there you go. All right, I did read that the last scene in the movie where they actually do the dance and do the full.
Is there an unedited cut somewhere?
I don't know about that, but the extras that were there. It was like this super rowdy scene because most of the extras snuck in booze and was like, we're drunk for it. So the actual women and men that are in the audience are actually like drunk.
So it's actually a real party.
I'm sure that probably helped the look of it. Yeah, the performance.
The genuineness of it.
This was a great double.
Yeah.
I'm really glad we did it. Always good to watch Big Fat Greek. And Full Monty. That's a new one for my tops list. I loved it.
Not to
fantastic.
Add it, because these are 2 good movies that I think have enough tropes that they could be good drinkers.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, this might be a good drinking double.
Some lines.
Some similar things. Yeah, this would be much better than if we drank to a Greek Wedding 1 and 2.
Yes.
I never want to watch 2 again. It was bad.
I forget the plot entirely.
Something with the daughter. That's all I can remember. She wanted to play volleyball or something. I forget.
I have no idea.
Couldn't tell you.
I don't remember volleyball.
I think maybe they were going to break up in that one. That was the thing. They didn't break up in the first one.
Really?
But I think in the second one they were going to break up.
Don't
see it. Don't see that second Greek Wedding. It's not good. Huh. All right. So next month is the Sister Act double.
Tim's request.
That was a Tim thought.
From months ago.
Bringing, by the way, the total of Whoopi as number 1 for Dan's Big Movie.
She's the go-to.
We've had at least 2 others. Wasn't there a third one, though, we did at some point? I know we've talked about doing Ghost. But I
Yeah,
think,
Ghost comes
or
up
maybe
a
we
lot.
talked about doing The Associate as well. But in
Yeah.
any event, we did Jumpin' Jack Flash and Burglar.
Yeah.
So that was 80s. Now we do 90s Goldberg. And we'll see what happens with that. And then after that is June, which is our big sci-fi. The Thing and E.T., same year, same month.
Different movies.
1982, very different, but both sci-fi.
Competitive movies.
Actually, yeah.
The big story.
And then as the year progresses, we have some horror coming up in October. We have
some thrillers, big drama.
Thrillers. There is an animated in July, I believe we're going to do.
Disney we're going to do whatever.
I don't know
Aladdin
what we're
or
gonna do.
something.
I can't remember.
It's some Disney.
And then actually, I don't think we decided. And then December is what we actually need people's advice on.
You haven't picked it?
Because there's a few good options, but they don't really work well with each other.
No Stallone.
Saturday Night Fever was an option.
Yeah.
I believe Moonstruck was an option.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that one.
And I think there was one other one on the list. We'll have to figure that out. I'd love to hear from you guys in the chat.
Help us figure out December.
What big December anniversary could we do? Let us know. All right, that will do it. Joe, thanks as always.
Thank you.
And we'll see everybody next time. Bye.